All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to break down a psychological tool so powerful it can totally flip the script in a difficult conversation. And that tool? It's strategic silence. So let's just jump right in with a question I think we've all faced, right? You're in some heated conversation, someone's pushing your buttons, and every fiber of your being is just screaming to fire back. But what if that instinct is actually the trap? Well, here's the answer, and it's probably not what you'd expect. The second you give them that emotional reaction, you've lost. You've handed over all your power. It's a psychological trap, and honestly, most of us fall right into it without ever seeing it. Okay, so how does this trap actually work? Well, it's all about understanding what the other person, the provocateur, is really trying to do, whether it's an intense meeting at work or, a tough family argument. I want you to think about it like this. The person provoking you isn't really interested in a logical debate. No way. Their words, that's just the bait. What they're really fishing for is your emotional reaction. They want proof that they got under your skin. And the moment you bite, with anger or getting defensive or just pure frustration, you've given them the power. You've basically just told them, yep, you found the button, you can control how I feel. Okay, so that's the problem. But what's the solution? This is where we get into the power move, an idea kind of sharpened by the observations of Niccolò Machiavelli. And get this, it's not about arguing better. It's about refusing to play their game at all. See, Machiavelli got it. He knew that real power isn't about being the most aggressive or the loudest person in the room. Nope, it's all about quiet, disciplined control over your own attention and your own emotions. So when you stay silent, you do something that is, frankly, deeply unsettling to a provocateur. You create this vacuum of uncertainty. See, they expected a fight. They were ready for a reaction they could use, and instead, you give them nothing. And that just completely destabilizes their whole strategy. So you might be asking, okay, how does this actually work? Well, we're going to break it down. We're going to look at the 7 psychological mechanisms that make strategic silence so effective. All right, let's get into it. First up, mechanism number 1. This one goes right for the thing every provocateur needs to feel powerful, that feedback loop. Think about it. Your reaction is like a psychological mirror for them. It shows them, hey, my words landed, I had an impact. But when you stay silent, that mirror shatters. They look for that reflection of their own power in your reaction, and they see nothing. And that sense of control just collapses. Okay, so their internal validation is gone. That brings us to mechanism number 2, which is all about scrambling the social signals they depend on. Your silence creates this massive ambiguity. They're left wondering, wait, are they weak? Or am I just so unimportant that I'm not even worth a response? And that uncertainty, it's super uncomfortable. And as they start pushing harder and harder for a reaction just to figure out where they stand, their own status just starts to drop. All right, on to number 3. This one really shows the incredible defensive power of doing, well, nothing. It's about turning their own energy right back at them. You see, an argument is a battlefield, right? Both sides are burning energy. But silence is like an invisible wall. The provocateur keeps throwing themselves against it, but they get no pushback, no feedback. All they do is exhaust their own emotional energy. And in the process, they reveal just how desperate they are for a reaction. So we've talked about defense, but now let's flip to offense. Let's look at how silence can actually manipulate a hidden part of any conflict, time itself. A normal argument, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? There's a sense of closure, but silence denies them that closure. That unresolved moment gets stuck in their head, playing on a loop. You've already moved on with your day, but that incident, it just keeps pulling their thoughts back in, kind of like a slow psychological gravity. Number 5 is all about mastering the narrative. It's about shifting the focus of the audience, whether that audience is real or just in their own head. We call this provocation exposure. See, when you react, the spotlight is on the drama between the two of you. But when you stay silent, that spotlight stays fixed firmly on them. And without your reaction to act as a smokescreen, their increasingly desperate attempts to get a rise out of you, well, it exposes their manipulative game for everyone to see. And that brings us right to mechanism number 6, which is all about building this rock-solid reputation without saying a single word. People just instinctively give more respect and authority to the person who can stay calm under fire. When you show that you are emotionally immune to attacks, it signals this deep internal stability. And that perceived strength, that's the real foundation of influence. And that brings us to our final mechanism, number 7. This is the ultimate power reversal that silence can pull off. This is what we call the silence reversal. It works like this. The provocateur starts off in control, right? They're setting the frame. But your silence creates a psychological vacuum. They get desperate to fill that vacuum, so they start chasing you for reaction. And we all know, in any dynamic, the person who's chasing is never the one with the power. The entire situation has been completely flipped on its head. So we've walked through all 7 of these mechanisms. What's the one big takeaway here? What's the core idea we need to hang on to? It's not your words. It's not how good your arguments are. It's not your anger. It's simply this: where you choose to place your attention. That is the source of all your personal power. And every single time you react when someone is deliberately trying to provoke you, you are draining that precious resource. You are literally giving away your power, your energy, and your focus for absolutely nothing. So the crucial point is this: real control in any situation doesn't start with trying to control the other person. It starts and it ends with having complete control over yourself. And that leaves us with one last, really powerful question to think about in our own lives. By learning when to be silent, we're really learning to be strategic with our focus and our energy. And once you master that, well, that changes everything.